My name is Gayatri. I'm the customer success specialist from BIM Technologies. Today we are here to understand how Bentley OpenRoad Designer will really change your career path. Let me give a small introduction about my organization. BIM Technologies Melbourne is a technology-driven organization that specializes in offering solutions in the Bentley cutting-edge technology for a global clientele. We are incorporated in 2017. We at BIM Technologies offer software, training, and consulting services. BIM Technologies, as a Bentley channel partner, we are promoting MicroStation, OpenRoad, Synchro 4D, OpenRail Designer, and Plaxis to begin with. We at BIM Technologies, as one of the prominent building information modeling services provider, specializes in providing end-to-end BIM solutions for the construction and building assignments. Our experts have extensive experience in local as well as international market on a variety of structural projects such as residential, commercial sector, educational buildings, industrial sector, as well as infrastructure. We have provided our services like training and services to various engineering organizations across Australia and other parts of the globe. So we are a channel partner for Bentley, wherein we are promoting softwares on MicroStation, StatPro, OpenRail, OpenRoad, Synchro, Plaxis, and OpenPlant Modeler. Today, after this webinar is over, you will be getting a participation certificate which is globally recognized, though it does not state that you know the software, but of course, yes, it will give you an idea that you have attended the workshop from BIM Technologies Melbourne. Now, though I'm not a technical person, I would like to give a small brief about what is OpenRoad Designer. BIM Technologies would like to bring an opportunity for future engineers to learn how to design end-to-end detailed road design capabilities in one application. Whether it is a main street or a highway, you can design and engineer road projects from start to finish with OpenRoad Designer. OpenRoad has everything you need to for plan and construction documentation, surveying, stormwater design and analysis, visualization, geotechnical, underground utilities, and such more. OpenRoad Designer is a comprehensive and a full-function detailed designer application software for surveying, stormwater design, etc. Today, our subject matter expert will show you the roadmap, how that really help you in designing your career. A small brief about our subject matter expert. Dhruv Mahajan, he is Master's in Civil Engineering. He has Master's in Civil Engineering, specialized in linear civil infrastructure projects, including roads and railway systems. He has an overall experience of 7 years with a solid academic foundation. Experience includes facilitating clients' transaction to BIM-ready design environments to training and project implementation. He is proficient in collaborating with diverse stakeholders and skilled in civil design workflows. Utilizing advanced tools such as Bentley OpenRoad Designer and MicroStation to deliver accurate and efficient engineering solutions that meet project goals and industry standards. So, and also he is a certified trainer from Bentley. So for the delay in starting the webinar, I request Dhruv to share his screen and then start on the OpenRoad Designer. Dhruv, you're there? Dhruv, you're there?
Hi, Gayatri. Thank you so much for the introduction.
Yeah.
I hope I am clearly audible. I will be
Yes.
sharing my screen now.
Yeah, sure. You can share the screen, and in between we have a poll.
All right. I hope my screen is visible to you.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Thank you so much. All right, guys, we'll continue with our introduction to OpenRoads Designer. So let's begin with understanding the product over here. We have been understanding, or we have been coming across a variety of products on the market today, especially starting with something called SMX that has been a very dominant product in the road and highway design software as a software across the world. Apart from it, the rail counterpart, which is also called as MX Rail, has been a very dominant product in terms of designing of rail systems. Now, here we are going to start focusing on OpenRoads Designer. We'll see what are the benefits or what are the product advantages that we have for open roads above MX or any other product. Apart from that, we'll see certain parts in terms of transitioning from legacy products such as MX, Inroads, and Geopack from those products to OpenRoads Designer, which is the latest one. And then going on in terms of working in the workspace. What are the workspace and work sets? What are the different features that we have of OpenRoads Designer? And finally, going in terms of workflow and interoperability between different products that we have from Bentley. So let's start with one basic idea that we had initially. Open Roads technology that was initially part of all these different products, beginning with Inroads, Geopack, and MX. The Open Roads technology that was invented or it was inscribed within these products were was coming as a center point between these products, which was for the V8i versions. Now, for the latest one that we have, this is the Connect Edition Open Roads Designer, which actually integrates all the benefits or all the features from these different products, which was being serviced or being used across different markets in the world. Right. So Inroads has been a very successful product in the USA, and MX has been very successful product around the globe, such as India, Australia, and UK. So this is where OpenRoads Designer comes in, brings in benefits or the good from all different products, and combines that along with products like Stormcad and subsurface utility engineering, which is becoming critical for having a more detailed route design today. Now, these are the reasons that we will have, so or we presently have to migrate from MX Roads to Open Roads Designer. So very first thing that we have come across is the expiring legacy product support. The people who have been using MX now have are not getting the particular support from Bentley. Apart from that, we are coming across on a digital DGN file format, which is probably one of the best things to come across because now Bentley has formed up an ecosystem where multiple products such as microstation, open roads, open buildings, or open bridges is coming across on one single file format, and then it can be used interoperability between these different products, right? And as with the DGN file format is the your interoperability and your BIM ready platform and universal shareability. Apart from this, we have excellent 3D environment that we have in open roads. And finally, going ahead in terms of is the parametric and object-based software, right? So parametric designing is one of the best things that we have in any product, which is based on top of MicroStation Connect Edition. Then we have next thing over here is open roads at a glance. Let's see what are the different things that we have. So these are few key terms. I will go on and explain these as we go on to the product. Uh, Similar things over here. I would like to showcase these when we are in the product itself and going on with the BIM setup, right? So now this is where we have the current practice where at every stage of our design, there is some sort of loss of data, some sort of loss of information. But with the present BIM setup, right? So the particular BIM efforts that we can go on and do that. So we can continue to use products like open roads, open buildings, and open bridges to use whatever information or whatever data that we had at previous stage and go forward with the next one. So going on over particular stages in the design phases of a project, it makes more sense to utilize previous data and go on with that. So every time you're going on, you don't lose data. For example, if you're doing a PD in your AutoCAD and then you're trying to make that data converted into auto open roads, for example. So rather than that, we have these different tools such as Open Roads Concept Station for preliminary design. Then we have Open Roads Designer for detailed design, and then going forward with it. Next thing that we will be coming across is the rapidly model design intent. Now, this is where we get a variety of benefits in terms of very quick dynamic changes that we can do. We can go on and select one thing, and that change is pretty instant. Next particular thing, I think this is one of the best things that we can come across is integrating multiple disciplines. Now, at this point, within the open roads, I can go on and bring multiple data. I can go on and use open build bridges data to bring in the bridges over here, right? And then I can, if I have to bring in any information such as for design of drainage from, let's say, 12D, I can go on and bring that as a reference. I can get that information over there. I can utilize information or particular data from different products and different particular disciplines to work in the same file. um, Now, finally, coming to the deliverables part. Now, this is where we already have something very conventional or very traditional use of drawing sheets, the production sheets that we have. But apart from that, we are coming on to a stage of using I models and IFCs to get to the final 3D models where all the different elements come together. Products like Revisto and Synchro and all those different products are being utilized today in the market. So that's where the IFC exporting from open roads can be very critical. All right. So this is where we will have a quick look in terms of what we have as the workspace and the workset to get an introduction to the product itself. So we will be seeing how we are able to set up the workspace and workset. We have certain properties to it. Going ahead in terms of how does the particular interface looks like. Now this particular interface that we are coming across, this is something very, very similar to what we see in MS Office, right? So this interface we call as the ribbon interface, and it is beautifully designed on the basis of your or of your particular uh, the particular tool that you want to access, what particular category you want to access, and it's pretty easy to navigate. All right, then. Next, what we have is workflows in OpenRoads Designer. We have a variety of workflows, and these workflows actually control what we are looking at in terms of the interface, right? So if I'm presently in OpenRoads modeling, I get to see tools which are more focused on and which can help me in terms of modeling. But if I go on and switch it to reality modeling, or I can get tools which are more focused on bringing in data from LiDAR, from point cloud, any reality meshes, I can use that particular workflow. Similarly, I have geotechnical workflow to fetch data from geotechnical information and use it ahead. Then we have drainage and utilities, so something very similar in terms of defining the storm. You are able to define your storm data. You are able to design your model and do analysis of your drainage in the open roads, right? And then you have utilities for design of your electrical systems, your communication, and your different your gas pipes, water pipes, and so on. Then what we have next is the understanding the workflow for OpenRoads Designer. So that's where we are presently starting with. We are going to start with using a survey, creating editing terrain, using the particular terrain to get a particular idea of the area, use the survey, and create horizontal geometry. So once we are going on with these steps, one important aspect that we utilize over here in terms of OpenRoads Designer is something called as federated data environment, right? So everything that we are going to do is going to have a beautiful sequence of referencing. We will create multiple files to manage data individually and go on and control them individually, right? Finally, before we head on to the software, let's have a look at what are the different types of uh, the data that we can use to create our terrain. Now, this can be starting from understanding what is a terrain model in case of open roads. What are the different features that we can control? Then we have terrain from a CAD file or a DWG file or a DGN file. Then we have a CSV, Apart from that, we can also bring in terrain from our legacy products such as DTM from inroads or power rail track. Then we have the prior data from MX, and similarly all those different tools or different particular set of data that we can bring in from different applications to create terrain here in OpenRoads Designer. So over here, in apart from that, something that's coming up very extensively is the LiDAR data, which contains millions of points in a particular survey, and it is very, very rich, highly populated data. So over there, if we are using a product like OpenRoads, and if you have a file, LiDAR data file of let's say 700 MB, you're able to use that particular file to create a terrain within minutes. So you don't have to wait for a longer time. You use it and you get it pretty easily. Going ahead, let's go on and hop onto our product, our software, and let's go with it. So here we are. So that's how OpenRoads Designer looks like. This is the present version 2023. Over here on the left side, we have certain tools such as defining if we go with no workspace and no workset. Then we have the recent worksets that's being used. And if I want to set up a particular configuration for my own project. So over here, what do we have? We have the workspace and workset. Now, what are these? So this is where we try to categorize and we are trying to uh, divide or departmentalize our particular projects or particular disciplines. So this particular workspace can have different standards, it can have different project information, it can have a particular client information, and then from there the workset is a subset of the workspace that actually follows all the standards defined in the workspace. So for this one, we are continuing with the very basic training and examples. That's the workspace I'm choosing for this exercise. And we are also having the other one that is training metric. So we are going to continue with, so I'm going to select browse. I have created a particular folder over here. And in this one, let's start with looking at the terrain that we have and what are the different tools we can use in this particular part. All right then. So we will be using all different files separately or individually. And then finally, we will be bringing them together using references. So as the file loads, we will go on and see the interface. First of all, we'll look at those particular elements and how we are able to control these particular feature symbology or how particular my terrain looks like here in the OpenRoads. So here we are over here on the left side, top left side, you can see we have something called as workflow, and the present workflow that we can see is OpenRoads modeling, right? And with OpenRoads modeling, you can see a particular series of tabs, starting with home tab. It contains few basic tools for you, selection, modeling analysis, and here we have element selection to select the particular components or elements within the OpenRoads. And over here, what do we have next is terrain, we have geometry, and this is pretty much a sequence of a project. How does a particular project flows or progresses in the design stage? Apart from this, even if I go on and I select a particular different workflow over here, you can see I have a pretty long list, right? So if you go on and select drawing production, you will identify that this just brings in information about drawing production, drawing and those basic specific tools. So rather than seeing everything at once, I just have the ability to control what particular tools I want to access. So if I go on and hop to survey, that gives me a pretty different tools, right? So if I can go on and create a field book, I want to import it from different products. It can be from a text file, right? It can be XYZ file. It can be, it can be a Trimble link, and I can import these informations, these particular types of data, and export it from different types of data. Then, apart from it, we have different analysis options that we have. We want to turn on annotations. We have decorations for all the survey elements. in terms of understanding how the particular components of the survey has been detailed, we can use these tools. Finally, if I go on and I select something called as geotechnical, you see geotechnical tools over here. We have something called as reality modeling. That's where I can come across point cloud. We can come across reality meshes, scalable terrain model, and raster images or something, right? So we have a variety of lists to choose from in terms of what particular data I want to bring in to create a terrain. And then going ahead with basic tools for drawing. Now, this is where you access all the tools and power of the MicroStation Connect Edition. And apart from it, you have modeling. Now, that's very similar to 3D modeling in MicroStation Connect Edition. So where you have access to create solids and features and etc. Then finally going ahead with visualization. Now that's where you get the power of working on once your model is ready, you have got your terrain, you have got your alignment, you have got your corridor, you have a good particular sense of your design. And then you have a Luminati option that if you have a Luminati license, you export everything and then you are able to populate your model into more presentable uh, element so that it can be shown to other stakeholders which are not very technical, and that can include populating the roads with the cars, populating people over there in those particular videos, and it produces a very excellent visualization for your final work. Next ahead is the drainage and utilities. Now this is where we are coming across a greater use right now. A lot of people are trying to implement use the availability of these tools using the Stormcad engine, right? So here, what do we have? We have the options of placing nodes, placing conduits, and all different types of elements that we want. And finally, once we are happy with it, we can go on and create different scenarios. We can run different alternatives and finally compute our drainage model, right? So we have layout, which helps us for the modeling of the drainage and utilities. And then we have the analysis part to compute it. So for this one, we have what? We have these different types of options. So for instance, let's say your organization already has the access or the license for, let's say, SewerCAD or SewerGems, you can access SewerGems straight away, right? So you can use it. But let's say if you don't, your organization does not have any of these, you still get StormCAD unlimited number of pipes within the OpenRoads license, and you can use it straight away, right? And then going on, let's go back to OpenRoads modeling. That's where we will be looking at the particular tools over here. So we are presently in terrain. Now that's where you can come across what are the different things. We have options to create a terrain, edit it, and finally run few analysis on this particular terrain. Now, once we are here, we can see I have a particular shape over here. It looks pretty good. I can go on and select it. On the left side, I have got the properties tab. I can get a basic information about it. I can control few elements on that one. I have a few information that's general, defining it. What's the level of this? What's the color of this? All those things have been defined by level. Then we can go on and collect some information, number of points, number of triangulations that has been done, what type of edge method. Now that's a very detailed element that we can cover in terms of creating a terrain. And finally, running in terms of calculated features. So we can go on and turn on triangles over here. Let's see if I want to have a look. So how does that look over here? I can go on and get a 3D view, right? So over here, what do we have? We have got a very basic right now. We don't have much uh, undulations on this particular terrain, but we will go on and create a particular we will go on and create what we are going to create a geometry. We are going to create a corridor using a particular template, and then we'll get to see how it looks in 3D. So for this one, we are going to just turn off these triangulations. I can turn on contours. I can turn on major and minor contours. Now that's where you get to control what particular uh, type of contour interval do you need over here. And I can just turn this off for now. And we are going to hop off to the another file that is, let's say, metric geometry. We're going to use this one. And in this one, I already have got a geometry created for myself, right? So over here, you can see we have a north to south road. We have another one running from east to west. So over here, we are going to have a quick look. On the right side, we can see I've got two views. One is on the left side, that's plan view, and another one is the 3D view for my work. So in case of open roads, we have a very beautiful concept which is called as what you see is what you get. So if I'm going to run any operation or run any particular tools on the on this particular side that's 2D, I will be getting all the different results on the right side, which is 3D view. So it does keep on reflecting the changes as you do, and it keeps on updating it. So here I am. So here we are going to start with running a particular corridor on this particular alignment. So for that, first of all, I can go on to select geometry if we are creating it. So these are the different tools. We have general tools, we have horizontal, we have vertical. Then there are certain common tools, and finally some regression tools to do some rehabilitation. Then we have over here is the site tools. That's where you can do a lot of grading and layout stuff for your parking and different things. Then what do we have is the corridor, right? So that's where we are going to run and start working on it. So to begin with, we can go on and select new corridor. That's where I'm going to define what type of typical cross section it should take. Now, before we go on with that, it's important I define what type of cross section I would need. So for this, I can go on and select template. I have something called as create template. Go on with it. And here we are. So Open Roads comes up with a very default setting, right? So it comes with a different file. So this file that we are working on, that we have in front of us, this is called as a template library, right? So we can call this file as .itl. That's the file format for this one. And one good thing about this is it is portable, right? So what I mean by that is, so this particular file is linked with a DGN, but however, it is independent of DGN. So for instance, if I have a project where I am working with 5 different people or maybe 20 different people, I can just create one single library dot, and in that ITL, in that single ITL, and I can send it across to different people, right? I can send it to 10 different people. Apart from it, let's say we have 10 different people working on 10 different types of typical cross sections, one working for the road, one working for the, let's say, a 4-lane road, another one for a 6-lane, or these different rural and urban setups. We have a variety of things. Somebody's coming up with a shared user path, right? So we have a different variety of things to take care of. So one good thing that we have over here, template library allows you to collaborate between different people and then integrate one single file from multiple template libraries. So we have 5 people coming up with 5 different ITLs. I can then finally combine it and create one single template library for the project. So that becomes a very good element. And another good thing that I can use this is if I'm using project wise for a project to be implemented. So that's where I can have a single source of truth, and one ITL can be serving everybody on the project, whether that's your organization, your client, or anybody in the system, right? So we are going ahead with this. So we have a default library that you get along with the product installation. So over here on the top, we have display point names. I'm just going to turn it off for you to look. So if you see, we have a particular grid system that looks pretty beautiful in terms of the simplicity and understanding it. I can go on and see you have your center line or the center point of the particular cross section sitting over here at 0, 0. pretty simple mathematics that we learned in school. And from there, what do we have? We can go on and define where do I want my edge of pavement, right? And if I go on and click on it, you see I get a good information about it. So what's the slope that we have? This is coming at a -2% slope. And what is the particular horizontal distance from the center line point to the edge of pavement point? So what do we see? That's 3.65. If I want to make a change, I can just go on, make it change to 3.65 to 3.74 meters, whatever is required. Apart from it, I can, as I said, it's portable. I can go on and select a particular template library as per my choice. I can go on and select file, either create a new. I want to create a folder, template or template library, multiple options. And then from here, I'm going to select open. Now that's where I have my own selective elements. So I can just go on and select London Road metric. So over here, that's the two different setups that I have. One is for imperial, another one is for metric. I can just go and select open. And here you see, I have got few components. That's where these are the building blocks of these templates that we have. We have different end conditions. We will be testing these out in an instance. And then we have linear templates and different parts, right? So we'll be focusing on the project templates right now. You see, we have 2 lanes, turn lane, auxiliary lane. So we have different setups over here. Let's have a quick look in terms of the 2 lanes rural. So if you see at this point, we have got the edge of pavement over here. If I turn on the point names, we have got the edge of pavement right. So we have the shoulder over here. I can go on and do a click on this one. You can see that's the edge of shoulder, right? It has a name to it. It has a proper feature definition, which actually defines what that element is or what that particular point is in real world engineering systems, right? So the values or the name that we go on and provide over here, it's not as an individual or not as an imaginary element that we are providing. We are actually taking that as the what it means in the real world engineering systems, and we'll continue from there. Okay, so we have got this. We have got some idea about how does this particular template looks like. Now to build a template, it's a pretty extensive learning that you can do, right? So here we are in 2 lanes urban. That's another one. I can zoom in, and here you see we have the edge of pavement, and then we have a curb over here, right? So how it has been customized is different. Then you have a sidewalk over here if you want to go on, and then we also see that we have certain lines, green in color, defining the end conditions or embankment slopes that we have. So to test these out, we can always go on and select test. And that's where, let's say I have a surface slope of 5%. I can go on and draw this. And here you can see on different paths, it has the combinations, or we can say the permutation and combination of these different types of embankment slopes on either sides, left and right, that help me to target different end conditions depending upon the slope of the earth or the terrain that we have, right? So here you see as we go on, it can behave differently, right? So the slope that we have on the left side and the right side is different. So that's where we learn this as a part. How do we optimize our terrain, our particular templates in a way to target the required embankment slope. So we have these different end conditions and different components that comes together as a template. We have got that. I can now go on, select file, select save, and I'm going to close this one for now. So once we are here back in the system, back in the OpenRoads designer, we are going to start by creating a new corridor. That's where we go on and define the particular baseline. That's where I define a geometry that I would need. I can go on and select this one. Now here I can see I have the option of choosing multiple uh, the profile from multiple list, right? So here I am going to start by selecting active profile, whatever is the active profile for this, and go on and select give it a feature name. I've got it. So for this one, once we have identified this information, the next thing that I would need is to define what type of template I would need, right? So here you can go on and click on these parentheses. I can just click on it, do a expand this. We have the project templates. We can select it from here. So here we are going to start by selecting 2 lanes, turn lane rural. So that's what we are going to take over here in this particular example. And once I've selected it, I can do a left click. Now that's where I define my start point and end point. That's where I want this corridor to be applied. So I'm going to say lock to the start and then again lock to the end of it, right? So I'm going to do a left click on this one. And then we have a drop interval. What's the distance or the interval at which this particular corridor will be applied? So here you can see in the 3D view, you can identify how it particular looks in terms of your 3D, right? And it was very instant. So that's where we come across our different tools in this one. Apart from this, we have to identify how smartly the software recognizes the application of turns, the application of these particular corridor templates on a curved section. So for instance, you see, when I went ahead with the application of this corridor, I said the template interval or the drop interval should be 25 meters. So here you can see on a straight section, the tangent section, the this particular cross-sectioning line is coming at at a distance of 25 meters. But however, if you come on to this part where it is having a curve, you identify it becomes more closer to apply it in a better accuracy. Right. So the higher the accuracy means lower the template drop interval. So we need more closer template drop interval over here. So once we are here, we can also identify something over here that we have a road, a connecting a secondary road that is connecting our London road. So we need to crop, or we can say we need to uh, cut this particular section out. So what do we need to cut out? We need to remove this particular part where we have the end conditions. We need to remove the shoulder so that this particular alignment that I have gets connected in a very smooth way, right? So that's where we are going to work ahead. We are going to use our particular components, right? And use it ahead. So before we go ahead and use it, we are going to start with what? We are going to start with defining how it looks in the dynamic cross sections. We have open cross section view. We can go on and select the corridor that we need over here. I can define, select a view. And here, let's say I've taken view number 7, open this one, and here we are. So at this particular point, we can go on and start defining few things. Now, this is the profile view that we are coming across. This is something we are having to work within it to get an idea or review the progress that we have. This is something that we are not exporting as the final output over here, right? So what we are going to start with, we are going to start working on this one and select it. So for instance, I need to come to a particular curved section. So I can go on and select it. So I can select locate station via data point, select the plan view. So that's my plan view. Let's say I want to see if this particular part is it having a how does this look right now? So you can see that's where the particular cross section is being cut. So for every click that I do, you can see it just goes on and skips to the next template drop interval. And from here, I can also add few more things that we have. So you can also see it comes up with your entire section. But let's say I want to place temporary dimensions. Now these can be horizontal or vertical. So I can select place horizontal temporary dimension. So let's say I want to start from the center point, go until the edge of pavement. So I can select and say dimension height over here. And here you see what I have got is the 5.4 meter. That's the width over here, and minus 2% is the slope. Now, as we go on it will just go on and define this one. Now, in this particular case, you can identify that this section has still not been super elevated. Sorry. So when we will do the super elevation, we'll come across and see this a particular temporary dimension that we have placed is going to vary according to that. So once we have got this information, we are now going to work and start by using another component that is called as, now we have different tools, right? So we can use editing over here in Corridor. We have miscellaneous tools, so that's where we are going to use them. So here, first thing that we are going to select is over here we have edit options. So for instance, if I want to select a particular template drop and I want to edit it accordingly, so we can do that as well. So apart from it, we can go on and use tools such as end condition exception, creating key condition, key station, and different key point controls, etc. But the one that we are going to use for now is going to be over here in corridor references. We have options for corridor clipping. So I'm going to use add corridor reference. So once I've selected this, it is the prompt that we have to follow. So it says locate corridor. We can go on and select it. So the moment I bring it over, it selects that particular corridor, do a left click on it, and it is asking me what is the first reference that you need to select. So here in this one, you see we have got a match line feature definition that will help us to create a create a cut section over here. So I'm going to select that first reference and reset to complete. So once we have done that, okay, let's wait for it to be progressed. All right. So we are going to make a change in this one. So we are going to start with creating a new template drop over here. So I'm just going to introduce a new template drop at this section. So for this, I'm going to locate corridor and I'm going to continue with this. So that's where I want my section to begin. So that's where I can just zoom in and snap to this particular line. And from this one, I can just say at this particular point, that's where I want a different template drop to be available. So once we have selected this particular template drop, you can see I have now divided the entire template drop on this particular corridor in three sections. So that's the first one. Then we have the second one over here, and finally the last one next. So for this one, I can go on and use different tools, right? So one thing that I'm going to quickly do over here is select edit template drop. We have got it. And finally, we are going to select the template drop. Now you see what I did is that I divided the entire corridor that I had into three different sections, right? Now you see the type of template that I'm following over here is pretty much the same. It's the same typical cross section that we are using. However, we are just dividing into smaller chunks to have a better control of our work. So here we are going to select this template drop. Once I've selected it, it just goes on and open. But this one that you see, it's not the same as these, right? It's not the exact same as creating a template. It's more of editing work that we do. Any changes that we are going to do over here will not be reflected in the template library, but it will only be reflected in terms of our present file that we are working on, right? So I can go on and select delete components. So I can just run this one. And here you see what I did is I removed all the end conditions, right? So I have removed all the end conditions. I can just go on and say OK to that. It processes, and here we are. You can see in the cross section as well that we have, and in terms of 3D as well, that's where it has been removed. Now, at this particular point, I feel that this shoulder should also be removed. So I can just go on and do that again. It's pretty simple. Locate template drop, select the component that you want to go. So I can say like, that's where I want to cut a section. And you see at this particular point, Anything that was beyond that point on the left has been removed. So I can just go on, select OK to it, and here it refreshes again, and I got the particular work done over here. So I hope this was clear in terms of making changes in the corridor. We have another tools such as defining the super elevation. That's where we can create super elevation sections and lanes, do the calculation on the basis of different tools that we have, and different particular calculation categories or different rules which can be based on ASTO or Indian context or Australian New Zealand context. Then what do we have next is in terms of 3D drive through and corridor reports. So to finally, let's say we want to get a corridor report over here, we can go on and select the component quantities. That's where we can go on and select the entire corridor. Once we have selected it, it just goes on with the particular information, gives you the value of your cut volume, fill volume, and different components over here. So you got the basic volume in terms of cubic meter. And then at any given point, you see that's the one parameter that I can change according to my conditions, my present rates that I have, unit costing. So it can be varied for cut volumes and fill volumes and different materials that we will be using over here. Once we have got this, we can go on, finally click on report, and it's going to create a report for us. So we can save this as PDF, as Word file, as a Excel file. Apart from this, we also get to see a different sequence of reports for horizontal geometry, vertical profile, and a super elevation. So we can be using all these different options that's required. If I go on and select anything right now, that's not going to give any information because I need to select that particular tool to provide me with the selective report, right? So here we are, we can just go on and close this. Finally, once we are done, we are going to proceed with the drawing production, get the final output. So as we have worked on this model ahead, I can just go on and get another model which is available as metric corridor. So we are going to just look at it and start working on it ahead. All right. So here we are. That's the final output. Let's say we have a good looking system over here. We have got the So that's where we have got the components. We have got this as London Road. This one is State Route 97. And from here, we can also go on and start to create a section. Now you see there's a problem here. We can go on and do some sort of clipping over here. So let's see one of those tools and quickly we will look on how we can go and do the work on drawing production over here, right? So we can just go on and zoom in over here. That's where we have already created a shape for cutting this particular cross section out. So here we are, we can select corridor clipping. We have got add corridor clipping reference. We can just select it. We can select the corridor to be clipped. That's the corridor that we need to be clipped. And that's the shape we want to clip over here. So I can just go on and reset it, and it should just progress and clip that particular part out. Now here you can see what do we have over here, these abutments that we have got. So this is actually that has been brought in using the Open Bridge Designer. Similarly, if I go on and I select references to see what are the different tools that we have, so you can see we have corridor bridges. That's where we can bring in and start to work ahead with it. So we presently, let's say we are missing this particular reference, but it just goes on in the similar way, right? So we have got this information, right? So let's go on and see if we have to finally get the drawing production out for us. That's where we come to the drawing production tab over here, or we can also switch to the drawing production workflow and select the specific tools for it. So for this one, again, we have different no options to add notes, text, labels, and annotations. So at this particular point, let's say we have to create a different cross section sheet. For instance, I can go on and select place named boundary, select it, and that's where you come across a variety of tools to choose from whether you want a plan view. So you can see that's civil plan. That's the first option that we have. The other is civil plan by element. Then we have a civil profile. That's where we want a profile sheet. Then we have a cross section sheet, right? And then if we use these particular tools, the plan and profile tools, we can use that as a combination to get what? A plan and profile sheet. So over here, let's see if you want to get a plan sheet. We can see we have a plan, profile plan. So we can go on and select it. So for presently, let's say I want to create a plan sheet. That's where I can go on, select the detail scale. What type of scale do I want? Then what type of in description that I can give, what's the length of each plan part that I want. This is going to be 350 meters. What is the length of left offset, right offset? All those values can be given. If I want to provide an overlap between plan A and plan B, that's where the overlap comes into picture. I can just go on and I can say that's where I want this particular, that's the one plan that I want. I can start from here and use, as I click on this, you can identify it, it selected the first 350 meters to create it from, right? So I can just go on and as I go along, I can define what's the final length do I want. So let's say that's the final part up to which I want this particular profile plan sheets to be created. I can just do a left click on this one, snap to this, and finally we can go on and select create drawing. That's where we will be coming across the drawing straight away, the sheet six straight away. However, if I'm going to just skip it, I can do now. That's what we did, was that we created four different boundaries, right? So you can see these different boundaries and everything that comes within these boundaries will be coming off as the final sheet ahead. So I can just, before I go ahead, you can see I have these boundary uh, template drops dividing us. So dividing the entire corridor. So I can turn off these parts over here as required, or I can turn this on again, right? So this one is as construction class element as well. Finally, going ahead in terms of selecting the created named boundaries. So that's where you access all the boundary named boundaries or the tool that you have created for for getting your different cross section sheets, your plan sheets, profile sheets, and finally a combination of plan and profile sheets. So over here you can see we have just created a plan group. That's the name over there. If I go on and expand it, so either I can select one individual sheet to be created, or I can go on and create the entire one. Before I go ahead, I'm going to select this drawing dialog box and I'm going to finally do a right click, create plan drawing. And here you see, I have got the information about how I want this to be annotated. What are the different drawing models and sheet models that I have. And one important thing that we have is the sheet index, right? So that's where for the entire work set, for example, let's say I have a project for that particular project ABC, I need an extensive list of various sheets rather than controlling it from each individual file, opening one by one. I can go on and add the particular sheets that I'm creating to the sheet index. So if I go on and I select to sheet index, you can see that's where I have training metric. I can readjust, or we can re-specify how this particular sheet index should look like, create different categories, create different parts or folders over there. We can do that later. For now, I can just go on and select OK and select go ahead with it. So here you see it started to progress, and finally we are welcomed with the final sheet over there. Now you see we have few issues with it. What's that? That's in terms of we have not defined the right uh, the in terms the particular annotations value. So we can just go on and redo this work. However, apart from it, we also have this particular component where we can just select it rather than redoing everything. I come back to the drawing model, and from here you see I can select what particular what particular uh, annotations at scale that I want. So here you see if I am presently in plan one. And if I get back to the plan one sheet, so this one should be okay. Now, are we in the same one? We can just cross check and get back to it. All right. So with this one, we have got a good idea in terms of all the different tools that we have for open roads modeling. And we have started from the basic concept of terrain, going on with geometry, corridors, and finally going with the drawing production over here. So that's all from our side. And if you have any doubts, you can please put that in the chat box, or you can send us an email to go ahead with it.
I think, Dhruv, we have, thank you, Dhruv, for your wonderful presentation. So we have one query from Christiana. He has sent a query in the chat box asking that what's the main difference between open roads, open site designer in terms of roads, drainage, and earthworks design capabilities. If you can address, I think we can.
Absolutely. So primarily, if we go on and define open roads and open site designer as two different products, so I will say open roads designer is a bigger set, or we can say it's a superset which contains all the tools of open site designer. So all the tools that you get in OpenSite, it's already there in your OpenRoads. So if you have the access to OpenRoads Designer, you have the license for that. You don't need a separate license to do work on OpenSite.
So,
Is there something specific on that one? If that's required, I can elaborate on that as well.
yeah, someone has messaged that Harshvardhan. He says his basic educational background is a civil engineer, and am I eligible for this course?
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
So if you have a basic sense of civil engineering, obviously you can go on and learn this particular um, software, right? So the concept that we at BIM Technologies are more focused on is in terms of understanding the tool and its implementation in engineering rather than the engineering in itself.
So, Harshvardhan, we have your email address. We will share you all the details on the course program, the course content, and the duration, everything. So, we can take it up from there. Anyone else have any more queries on this? You can just leave it in the chat box. We can read out. Christian, I hope your queries taken. Do you have any more queries to ask for? Thank you, Nim. Thank you. Yeah, thank. Thanks for taking up your time and attending this workshop because as it's a good to change your career path also. Anyone else have any? Okay, MUL has a query. How does the program relate with our BIM software? Is there any connection?
Yes. Now, obviously, can I get the name who said who asked for this query? Sorry, Gayatri.
No, yeah, it's MUL Cato.
Okay, so Emmanuel. So the concept that we come across in terms of BIM as a whole is obviously not focused on one single product, right? So that's a collaboration of different products, different workflows, different disciplines, bringing in all together, which are part of one project. So, for instance, let me give you an example to take care of that. So, let's say you have a particular highway project. Now, at this particular time, we are not focused just on the highway. We are actually collaborating everything in terms of BIM, right? So when we say BIM, we want to consider in terms of attribution. We need to have all the components of the road and the light poles and your electrical conduits, your drainage components over there. all those pavement layers and different parts to have some sort of attribution. At the same time, you will have different components. For example, you will have some sort of data that's coming from Revit model, something coming from open bridges or maybe Revit structures. And then once you have all those information, the software that you will be using should be compatible in terms of bringing in or exporting the data from that software into a collaborated environment. So that's where the data that you produce is capable and is compatible to work along with other components in a BIM setup, right? So for example, Ravisto is a good tool right now. And if you have a particular highway that's being designed in, let's say, Open Roads Designer, you have the drainage that's being designed in Open Roads Designer, and let's say another team is doing drainage in 12D, for example, and then you have that capability of bringing in everything together using IFC or iTwin that's being created from OpenRoots. I hope
Right.
you have got the idea. I know it was a very wide example considering of different products, but the idea for the BIM is it's not just focused on one single product. It's more about collaboration of data, collaboration of information from different products and different disciplines.
Yeah, Harshvardhan has messaged after the completion of the course, and if I get the job on the BIM course, and how much the salary of the fresher, and can you tell me approximately? Harsh, it all depends upon the organizational setup, because yes, one organization has their own kind of pay scales and everything, and of course, yes, on top of it, what kind of a skills you carry also. Learning is one, putting in a practice is one, so both will go parallelly. Am I right, Dhruv?
Yes. So Harshvardhan, that's the first thing that I will answer it in terms of obviously the market that you are in that makes or breaks your value. Right now, Open Roads is a particular tool that is growing in terms of its market across the world. If you are in India or in Australia, in either cases, if you know this tool and if you have a basic idea of engineering, right? That's when I say basic idea of engineering, that's the key component or very important component to collaborate or to supplement your knowledge on Open Roads. And then on that basis, you can go on and apply for jobs at bigger companies like Jacobs, Acom, WSP, and all as as a graduate trainee engineer. And at the same time, you have access to apply for smaller and medium businesses to to get a job over there. Is and the primary element that's always going to help you is in terms of your experience on job. That's all,
Right.
Harshvardhan. That's what I had.
Right.
My 2 cents.
Yeah. So, anyone else have any more queries, please? We have one more Jixing we have. Where can we see the recordings? Yes, after the this thing is over, Jixing, we are putting it in the YouTube. We will share you the link. You can always go through that link also. That's not an issue. Website of this institute. Yes, Harshvardhan, we will send you the link of the website. Everything. We have your email address with us. So we'll share you all the details on the email. And then once this webinar is over, you will be all getting a participation certificate from Bentley, like I said earlier also, which will just state that you have attended a webinar from BIM Technologies Melbourne. So this recording will be available in our YouTube. And also we will, since we all have your email addresses, we will share you the link also. Anyone else have any more queries, please? Yes, Nim, we will send you the link of the participation certificate. It will take 1 or 2 days for us because we have to report it to Bentley. From there, once we get an approval from them, we will be sending a link. Probably you'll get a link on Monday or so. You can download it from there. If at all you have any problem, you have our email address. You can just send in an email to us. We'll help you in that. Yes, Name, we have sent a mail across yesterday. I think you might have received a mail. Can you please check your spam or junk? You might have received a mail from our side for the participation certificate. If not, just let us drop an email to us. We will send you the link again. Yes, is there a trial for Open Road? Yes, you can have a trial for a 14 days trial version of the software, which you can use it. And of course, yes, once you register training with us, we will help you get the software also. Yes, Gayatri, it's the same. You will have a 14 days trial period software from our side, or you can register in the Bentley website already. Thank you, email. We have your email address. We'll share you all the details on your email address. Yes, Jig, you will be getting a participation certificate. We will send you a mail for this. I mean, a mail will come from our side for the participation certificate. So because we will be reporting your data to the Bentley website, and then they will be giving an approval on this, and hence we will send the mail to you. Yes, Prabhat, we will send you all the course details and everything to you, and then we can always register for the course. Thank you, Christiana. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you. So can we conclude this webinar? If at all you have no more queries on this. No problem. You have our email address. Please do info@bimtechnologies.com.au, or else my email address is gayatri@bimtechnologies.com.au. You can send in a mail to us. We will revert back to whatever queries you have with us, and for the training or for the projects or for the software purchase, we're into the services, training, and consultancies also. So you can send in a mail to us. We will help you in all aspects. Right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for taking our time and attending this workshop. And then thank you, Dhruv, for your valuable time on this and giving an insight on the software, how it will really help the young graduates and the professionals to enhance and then upgrade their skills in the particular technology. Thank you, one and all. Thank you so much and have a great evening.